Welcome to the November 5th edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, brought to you by the National Urban League. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. You picked an excellent day to join this Urban League Jobs Network session. Please jump in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're looking for today, where you're representing. Give us this information. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professional chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms such as webinars, Facebook, and Instagram Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. If you want more, visit nuljobsnetwork.com. It's going to be one of those days. I'm looking at the chat. I see it's really active. All right, today's DCSS, AI, your Copilot, not Autopilot, balancing innovation and accountability, features two dynamic leaders in the space, Dr. Elizabeth Adams and Cynthia Respert. Dr. Adams, welcome to the Digital Career Success Series.
Hello. I see all these amazing people that have joined us from across the country saying hello to you all. I bring you greetings from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So excited to be here.
Man, we're excited to have you, of course. We're going to invite Cynthia on, your co-host in a minute, but tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. So as I mentioned, I'm from Minneapolis, the founder of the Minnesota Responsible AI Institute. I've been in the AI space for about 10 years, but prior to that, I've been a technologist for over 25 years. But at the Institute, we believe that a pathway to workforce development, economic success, and considerations for sustainability start with responsible AI jobs. And so we're looking forward to talking about that. And so I get a chance to move around the country and speak to universities, policymakers, organizations, as well as internationally to advance the conversation about responsible AI. We want AI in our lives. We believe that AI belongs in business, but we need to have some guardrails so that we're making sure that we're not causing a negative human experience as a result of irresponsible AI.
I got it. Listen, you spoke about moving around the world. I'm looking at this chat. I think we're going around the country for sure.
Yes.
Cynthia Respert, please come to the stage.
Awesome. Hello. Greetings from Houston, Texas. How's everybody doing?
And we're excited to have you on the Digital Career Success Series. I know that. If you don't mind, please tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Cynthia Respert, and I am a certified AI solutions architect. You say, well, that's a fancy word to say that I help organizations, teams, and entrepreneurs leverage holistic, comprehensive AI workflows and systems to solve real world problems, real business problems, making it practical and accessible. And I focus on maximizing purpose and profit for those organizations and teams. I also founded the AI Builder Academy, where we believe in our brilliance, build boldly, and become the solution the marketplace needs. And that is where we are transforming the mindset of women from consumers to creators, and not just using what's put out there to build what's next. Lastly, AI Execution Club is an environment where we execute. We only know what we make. So this is an actionable community to leverage AI to make the best of your purpose and, again, your profits. We prioritize human intelligence, the authentic human genius and intelligence that's necessary for AI to thrive responsibly and ethically. I've had the opportunity to be in the operations space for some decades and transition to AI. It was a natural trajectory in the last 5 years or so.
I love it. You spoke about community. I'd be remiss if I didn't say I had the opportunity to meet you at the National Urban League Conference out in Cleveland as you were moving around and doing your thing and supporting the league. So I want to thank you for doubling down on that commitment and being here with us today. It's really interesting. We have to share, at least I have to share, that kind of the connection on this conversation is Angel Bush from Women in AI.
Yes.
I know we all know Angel. I know she's made some introductions to make this happen. Dr. Adams, we haven't met in person, but after our several conversations, I really feel like I know you. So I'm interested and excited about getting this conversation started. AI, your co-pilot, not autopilot, is the topic that we're covering here today. and we'll just jump into it, right? So what I'm hearing is AI should never hold your soul. You know, when I saw that on the deck, I said, all right, that's really interesting. You know, career success starts with authenticity. AI should amplify your voice, not replace it. Dr. Adams, talk to us a little bit about that. I know that is kind of core to the work that you're doing out here.
Yeah, that is so true. AI should never hold your soul. And when you think about young people who are really tapped into social media and they're tapped into how they're leveraging AI for different parts of their lives, some of them are beginning to actually believe that AI is more than just a co-pilot. And so part of this conversation, I think that I'm excited to have is to help them understand that it should be used as an assistant. When I talk to college students and high schoolers, we do a lot of immersive work to help them see how it can improve their lives, how they can stack skills, which we'll talk about later, but also ensuring that they're using it safely and they're using it responsibly, and that they're ensuring that they're checking links and that they're also validating the truths of what is returned to them. Because as we all know, for those of us that have been using AI for a while, it can sound very authoritative. And so we have to be careful, especially when it comes to young people, in terms of encouraging them to think differently and more broadly about what it means to have AI as a co-pilot and not hold your soul.
You know, let's stay here for a second and just speak about it from the world of work. I know it's really important to speak to how young people are operating the tools, but even in the world of work, it's really important that we kind of, you know, don't let AI hold our soul. People hire us because of some of the skill sets we bring to the table. Cynthia, would you like to touch a little bit about that?
I absolutely would. I love that statement, because when I think of soul, if we lean into that for a moment, AI doesn't have a soul. So it would want to hold on to it because it doesn't have one, right? But the AI cannot dream. AI cannot ideate. AI is a pattern recognizer, right? It's predicting what is next based on how it's trained. So if we're talking about the soul, we are that X factor. We are the one that puts the creativity and the knowledge into AI. So just touching on that, totally agree with Dr. Elizabeth, is, again, the machine cannot dream and ideate and take things forward. It's only predicting what it should do. So I would shudder to think that we had a future without human agency and human creativity, right? It would just be predictive creativity. So
I think to add to that, that's some phenomenal points, but there are conversations about giving AI agency. Yeah. And we do have to kind of think about that when we have AI agents or co-workers, and then we have human co-workers, and then you have the leaders who have to manage both. And so while we can, you know, ideate about it not having a soul, we all know that, but we don't know what that means for an organization, right? In terms of their culture, who's leading. There's lots of conversations about humans being in the loop and why that needs to happen. So yes, just wanted to echo those points, that it is important to understand that who's driving or who should be driving the shaping of our future with AI.
Yeah, I think you took us right where we were going. You know, we want to talk about responsible AI, right? So as we kind of walk into that as a career advantage, and you speaking about the AI having agency or talks going on about that, there are people in the room like the two of you that are speaking on behalf of humans on how this is operated, right? So please, Dr. Adams, talk to us a little bit about the final decisions on some of this.
Yeah, well, let me just back up and talk about what responsible AI is. And it's really the practice of designing AI systems, designing and developing AI systems with a set of ethical principles. And you can Google what those principles are, but I'll name a few: explainability, trustworthiness, transparency, auditability, so unbiased. There are a number of those principles that are critical when we're designing AI technologies. But from a career advantage, a few years ago, we typically centered responsible AI just in the technical domain. It would be something that the chief technology officer or maybe a chief AI officer would manage, and it wouldn't cascade across the rest of the organization. But what we're finding is that when you have broader stakeholder engagement, you have other folks who are engaged in the process of leveraging AI tools, integrating them, who are also supporting organizational readiness with AI, then responsible AI can flourish. We're upskilling, we're reskilling, people are getting a new set of tools and awareness around AI, and organizations are benefiting from it, not just from a personal advantage, but from a corporate advantage. And Cynthia talked about that before. So I wanted to just kind of frame what responsible AI is and talk a little bit about how we can leverage it from a career perspective.
You know what? I appreciate that. You know, in the slide, Cynthia, we talked about AI starting with us, right?
Yes.
The responsibility beginning with us.
Yeah.
You know, as we kind of drill down on being responsible, not only in the creation but in the usage. Talk to us a little more about your thoughts on what that means.
Yeah. So responsible AI, moral and ethical application is absolutely paramount. The difference between this AI quote unquote tool and a money or weapons, it's a tool, right? And we'll get into more of that later, but it has exponential impact and far-reaching impact into organizations, community, and our world. So the human in the loop is very important. We are moving from being the doers. You talked about the agents beginning to have agency, etc. We're moving from doers to directors. So it is absolutely true that there are going to be more agents than there are people. So we will be managing those agents. So we have to understand how they are built, how they are managed, what the guardrails are, what does the bias look like. All of those are human inputs. And as this agentic era begins to continue to further, right, we will need to continue to have those guardrails. So it's only going to accelerate faster and faster. So the human in the loop with responsible, ethical building and managing of those tools will be super important, just like Dr. Elizabeth stated.
And can I add one thing, Kenneth? One of the things that I want to just express to all of the great people that have joined is that you can start in your own organization by hosting some sort of a learning event or following your curiosity and understanding what might be some of the responsible AI practices in your own organization. You don't have to wait for a leader to say, this is what we're going to do. 10 years ago, that's exactly what I did. I did not see facial recognition technology working for everyone, and I wanted to know why. So I started asking data scientists. The next thing I know, I'm helping to lead the creation of AI ethics principles for an organization. So that is another way to engage in a career moment, a career advantage moment, is by following your curiosity and beginning to ask the questions. The same questions that I'm seeing pop up in the chat would be great questions at an organization.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Cynthia, you spoke about agentic AI, right? And I was at the Excel Summit in Orlando, a Black Enterprise event, and Robert Smith was speaking about this and speaking about a commitment that he was going to have, I think for some of the HBCUs, even Morehouse Spelman, I believe, to kind of get this in the curriculum and have people kind of learning about this. You want to talk to us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So agentic AI is more advanced than normal AI or the generative AI that we know. So I look at it like a crawl, walk, run, fly kind of continuum. So crawling is like the chat bot that's on your website. When you advance a little further, you may have some custom GPTs and custom assistants, all the way up to autonomous AI, where it is taking agency, like we talked about, on its own based on the training data, and then it iteratively learns. Now, how can I summarize all of that? Basically, agentic AI is an autonomous agent or autonomous AI that works and learns iteratively and goes on without the human interaction. It takes less human intervention, less human in the loop. And we are accelerating far beyond any other timeline that we've had where agentic AI is present. So I began thinking about this earlier this year, and I coined a phrase, which is like not a no-brainer, but I did coin the phrase agentification. It just describes what goes on, but also the solution that we could have. So gentrification, in a neighborhood where you have all of these buildings that may not be up to par, and an investment comes in and it puts those fancy house numbers out there. It beautifies the neighborhood, and then the original residents are pushed out. That's gentrification, right? We all know about areas and cities across the nation where it was a dilapidated or may have rundown buildings, and come in and invest, and then the people who usually lived there or started there can't afford to be there anymore. So a gentrification is AI agents coming in to displace irrelevance, to displace tasks we don't need to do, to displace old business mindsets, right? So as these agents come in, then it is displacing, and as we're seeing it today in our workforce, displacing the irrelevant things. However, humans are always relevant. So this is where we have to have these tough conversations. So how do we do this responsibly and ethically? And it's not kind of like a platform to say just wipe out all the people and let's just have robots. We're changing from doers to directors, and we have to manage them responsibly.
Indeed. It's the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. We're live with Dr. Elizabeth M. Adams, Cynthia Respert, here for you. We're speaking about AI. Listen, you have to have responsible AI, Dr. Adams. So, I want to get into that a little. I believe the next slide is speaking about, just responsible AI and how you stand out actually in the whole space. So you've done an amazing job of doing exactly that, standing out in the age of AI. So I just want you to kind of touch base and talk to our audience about how, everyone can kind of join into the conversation.
Yeah, so look, I speak to people, as I mentioned, all over the world about what responsible AI means for them, because personally, my leadership philosophy is that we are all out here trying to figure out this world that we're navigating in the best that we can. And if we're using AI, my philosophy is that it should be used to help us thrive, but obviously responsibly. So if people were to go to the website, www.mnrai.com, there's a whole section that I have about responsible AI jobs and what that looks like. Part of the work that I do with organizations, and specifically with HR organizations, is to help them modernize their job descriptions and their employee workflows and processes. And the reason for that is because Cynthia did a phenomenal job of talking about what our world is looking like with agents. And many organizations have these OKRs and these KPIs around what we should be doing with AI, but the job descriptions do not reflect that. And so part of this is to go in and engage with these organizations, with their employees, and have very open in safe spaces, these conversations about what it looks like to have AI further integrated into their organizational space, so that the employees can feel better and trust the systems. And so again, these workshops include things such as what is your job now, or leading what's next, or drive, where they're really employee focused to help them get comfortable with how AI is making its way into their organization. All of this allows them to upskill and reskill their current tasks into more of an AI or responsible AI space, whether they want to do governance, or maybe they want to help write the scripts for a chatbot and they sit in customer care. They don't have to be a technologist. So across the organization, if you I looked at a slide recently of Gen AI companies, there are like 50 on the slide. Every single one of those companies has an AI lifecycle and people to do the work: product managers, legal, procurement, you name it, across the board. So there are plenty of opportunities for us to step up with upskilling and reskilling. And I hope that people will go take a look at the website to see what some of those responsible AI careers look like.
Wow. That's important. If I could chime in there, what's important is that culture. Oftentimes, we can look at and say that AI is displacing employees, but do we have a culture of the employees and team members being able to learn AI? How are they demonstrating the usage of AI to be those directors? There was a company that kind of let go of everyone and said, we're going all in AI. This was a couple months ago. And then they had to rehire people to say, well, I don't think we have this thing nailed down yet. So the responsible pathway forward, just like Dr. Elizabeth said, is how are you creating and integrating that into the culture of your organization? Not only by saying, go learn it, but hey, here is how we do it. I was recently at Afrotech, and we were at the Augusto event, and they talked about how they released Cursor for their environment and had a challenge for the employees to then create different applications that would make their job easier. That not only gave them an AI first mindset and unlocked a new level of creativity in them, and wanted them to, pursue it further. So creating that culture is super important. And to those that are maybe not creating the culture here, but a part of the culture, to our point earlier, you raising your hand to say, hey, look what I built. Hey, we should dive deeper here. Here are some solutions.
Yeah, and I'll just add that to that culture piece. So part of my doctorate, I have a doctorate in leadership for responsible AI. So I studied organizations that advance it and organizations that are stalling it. And what Cynthia said is so important, and it is the culture. It's the pathways for employee engagement. Some of those might look like hackathons. Some of those might look like employee resource groups taking or tackling an AI problem or responsible AI problem. Some of it might be role reversal. Some of it could be, AI literacy. I see that in the chat, taking it upon yourselves to host a learning lab or something like that. So there are plenty of opportunities that I just want to let people know that they can take a first step if they're interested in responsibly leading their organization's culture.
Well, I appreciate that. And to our audience, please drop your questions in the Q&A. We will have a Q&A segment with Cynthia and Dr. Adams probably in about 15 minutes. All right, listen. I want to go back to the slide because you spoke about co-authoring your brilliance, Dr. Adams, and I thought that was such a great statement for this conversation. Can you tell me a little bit about where you were going with that as it relates to AI?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, 10 years ago when I got started, no one said, go do this AI thing. No one said, this is where we're going. I followed my curiosity and I made a decision for myself that I would use a LinkedIn platform to do that. And so I started sharing what I was learning, had not stepped out and said I'm an expert yet. But what I will tell you is that because there were other curious people or people who were interested in learning, I got tapped. I got tapped from Stanford and Harvard and MIT and around the world in Saudi Arabia, United Nations, World Economic Forum. And so I'm just saying that these opportunities exist if you follow your curiosity. My lane is humans thriving. That is my lane. And every organization that I talk to, that's what I talk about. How do employees thrive in the age of AI? How do leaders? How might your organization? Minnesota Responsible AI Institute is in the care business, so we care. So for me, my lane is about caring. It's about employees thriving. And from that is where I then projected onto these social media platforms about what I was learning. And again, way back then, there weren't a lot of people that were interested, but it also led to something I'll say that I think is very important. It led to the city of Minneapolis appointing me to a racial equity community advisory committee, where I led an effort to discuss AI surveillance technology in the city of Minneapolis. And in February of 2021, the Minneapolis City Council unanimously voted to ban facial recognition. Not because, because the tool just wasn't ready then. So again, standing out, owning your own brilliance, that is a huge, I think, milestone from someone who just a few years before was following their curiosity. So I just want to put that out there and say that there are many pathways. Find the thing that drives you. Humans thriving is my thing, and go from there.
Cynthia, we're talking about thinking higher, right? AI integration. And it's our invitation to think higher.
Yes.
So, I know that this is something that you speak about, something that you care about. Let's take this time to amplify your voice on that topic, please.
Absolutely. When I say think higher, sometimes we look at AI as a tool. And I used to say that all the time, but I've kind of have a hybrid approach now. Because if you think of a tool, you think of a hammer, and you get a hammer, and the hammer has one function. And if it doesn't work for this job, I'm going to put it to the side. You think of a wrench. A wrench is supposed to wrench. And if I don't need a wrench right now, it's not going to work for this situation. So let me just put it to the side. But when we have this collaborative effort, this co-creation that we were just speaking about, it gives you the idea of a teammate with shared goals. So if I'm looking at AI as a teammate, not over humanizing it, but looking at it as a teammate, then it says, what do you do with a good teammate that's on your team that's not quite working? You mentor it, you guide it, you correct it, you teach it, right? So this collaborative effort allows your human genius to be amplified as you refine it with AI. So the invitation is to think higher and then let it crush the numbers and the data, but now you can strategically think about the output of that. So it gives us a future finish line or start line. It moves that start line up a few ticks or exponentially, really, to allow you to strategically think. So when we're thinking of it as a teammate, we shouldn't just feed it our conclusions. We should have it interrogate our conclusions, right? So not using it as a copy and paste. I have this thing, you can call CPS, Child Protective Services, but I'll call the copy paste services, where we just copy paste from AI, be like, I'm calling CPS on you, right? So we want to think higher and push back on that. It should kind of look at the situation, and it should push us to our questions to a higher and a newer territory, right? Not just using it again to copy paste. So that's our invitation.
Before I go to Dr. Adams on this, there's a quote, Cynthia, that's attributed to you, at least. And I want you to kind of lean in on this quote here. I think we have it here because we have the best production team in the business. Talk to me about this quote, please.
Yes, I've been saying this for a very long time. People that know me probably know it by heart, and some do. But AI is intended to be an extension of us, not the extinction of us. So the extension of us, meaning the amplification of our human genius, the extension of the very best parts of us, how we operate, how we're wired, how we're gifted, how we've educated ourselves, and the path that Dr. Elizabeth has taken, or Ken, your media and your career success that you have. It is meant to amplify that so we can go further, not to take us out. And I know that's an unpopular opinion if we look at the job market, if we look at the hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their jobs. And I believe that, and the data shows that new jobs will be created, and we are going through this seismic shift of innovation that unlike we've ever seen before. But I still stand on business, as the kids say, on it not being for the extension of us. But we're going through this transition period that it looks, it looks a little dim in some areas, but I believe this will circle back around.
No, it doesn't look dim. We have Dr. Adams here to brighten
it
up. Right? Dr. Adams, talk to us. The people are, Cynthia speaks about there's some shifting in the workplace and the way we do work and the way work is done.
Yes.
Talk to us about the optimist in you. Give us the optimist in you as it relates to this technology.
Yeah, so recently I posted on LinkedIn a guide around job stacking and skill stacking as a unique way to create financial opportunities. So first off, I want to say no one should feel shame if they've got to take on multiple jobs in this uncertain economy. But there's ways that we can leverage AI so that people can start bringing more money in. And that's what I have combined, the skill stacking and job stacking. So skill stacking is really taking those skills that you're good at, passionate about, or things you're curious about, and blending them together to create a unique advantage, something that no one else can do. Maybe you're empathetic, but you like photography, but you're also tech curious. You're tech curious. The other part is job stacking. And so job stacking is different from a side hustle. It's really about finding jobs that match your skills, but they're the lowest barrier to entry. So maybe you like organization, communication, and talking to people. So maybe you become a part-time receptionist at a dentist's office, or maybe you are working as a grocer. I'm just saying, it's something for us to feel proud about because we can blend these different skills and utilize them and ask AI how to. So one of the things I've done in a workshop with employees is to ask them to list out all of their skills, use AI then to find what Gen AI jobs or other jobs might match those skill stacking opportunities. And we're finding that people are thinking differently. They're thinking higher about themselves. Maybe no one ever told them they were good at organization or good at numbers. And so AI is actually helping people by democratizing access to think very differently and more positively about themselves. That's the optimist in me. So I'll share that.
Well,
Oh yeah, I need to just tap in really quick there because I don't want to make it look like I have a gloom and doom outlook. I am pro AI all day for sure, and just that responsible part to your skill stacking. I think that's a very important point because skills are greater than jobs at this point because you can move with AI agility if you learn how to learn. The most important skill right now is to learn how to learn. Don't get locked in on I'll use AI as an example, on a certain tool to say, this is my go-to. Because you can go to bed an expert today and wake up a novice tomorrow because Sam Altman and the team released something new. And now it cannibalizes what you thought you just staked your whole life on. So the most important thing is to learn how to learn. And skills are greater than just only titles and positions, but those skills are transferable in this AI age.
You really thought we saw you as the pessimist with
no, I just wanted to make sure for the record.
Can I kick it on the wall? Really? That's what you got? All right.
I had to make sure. I wanted to make sure. I ended on the dim note. I said, wait a minute. But that's a real thing, though. You know, people are experiencing job loss, and we just want to be an encouragement to that. Those are some great hacks and tools that Dr. Elizabeth stated. And the other thing with this thing is learning skills is go execute, go create something. Mm-hmm. That's one of the slides too, Ken, and I don't want to speed us along, but go create something because that is how you build your confidence. Mm-hmm. That's how the AI Execution Club was born. It's a free community. We come and it was birthed out of a challenge and sharing on LinkedIn. I was in a Microsoft Education Challenge and we had to make something. And I said, let me keep scrolling. And I was scrolling on LinkedIn one Saturday and I kept saving stuff like, that's amazing. That's amazing. I kept saving these tools, but I wasn't doing anything with it. And that Saturday I checked myself and I said, when are you going to use that? What are you going to do with that? Right. So that's how the AI Execution Club was born, to say, I'm not going to only just save it. I'm going to make something with it to make sure I understand it and develop a skill. And when I put that out there on LinkedIn, 300 other people said, me too, girl. Me too. I need to learn these things too. So that's another way is to gain those skills, is to execute. We only know what we make is what the author of Building a Second Brain did.
Execute and teach others. And we all should be sitting in a posture of learning, no matter if you have a doctorate or not. I learned something yesterday in Chicago at a conference. I took a link from my website and put it into this AI thing and create a whole podcast. And I'm sure people are familiar with that, and flashcards and all types of things. And I'm like, wow. Now, the responsible AI person in me would want to look under the hood to see who designed it, developed it, because it doesn't have all of the things that would represent everyone. But again, these are ways that we can advance ourselves in the age of AI, is by being constantly curious and learning, using the tools, executing on the tools, and then teaching others and sharing others. So I'll just point out on one of my websites that'll be listed on the slides, I have a whole ton of leadership guides that are free, and they're all free to download for people. So what is fairness in AI, accountability in AI, what is bias in AI? So things that I've collected and designed and developed over the last several years that people can have access to.
Listen, I know we're moving really fast, and I know people are wondering, yes, this episode of the Digital Career Success Series will be available on the Urban League YouTube channel. You can find it there because Dr. Adams and Cynthia are giving so much information that I know you guys are like overwhelmed by this. But the questions, keep them coming, please. We are getting ready to go to Q&A soon. But first, Cynthia, you spoke about, people not checking out. You say don't check out. Yeah.
Don't check out. Leverage AI to learn a new way to code. So we are, maybe you don't know, but if you don't know, you don't need to know all the binary codes and Python and all the things to create anymore. So acronym that came to me last year, I think it was learn a new way to code. And that means to create, optimize, dream, and execute. So when you create with AI, make something. This all will increase your AI confidence, your AI resilience, your AI muscle memory, but make something, optimize, streamline something. Take something simple to say, I'm going to streamline my schedule. D is dream and reimagine what's possible. when I think of fear and I think of AI, I got a lot of acronyms, associate that with me working with kids all the time. But fear is freedom to explore and reimagine what was possible on the other side. So don't be fearful, but imagine what's on the other side. So create, optimize, dream, and execute is the new way to code. AI has democratized what's possible. It didn't kill creativity. I saw this quote yesterday. It didn't kill creativity. It killed permission. You don't need permission to go create anymore. You don't need permission to go and solve a huge problem with technology, because AI has democratized that. So that is the new way to code, is create, optimize, dream, and execute. And I will give a hack for self-confidence as well. I took Notebook LM, which is the AI tool. It's free. So you want to be anything that's free, you're the product, right? So you don't want to put any personal identifiable information in there, but feed it your LinkedIn profile, your resume, if you choose, any websites that's associated with you, your business, etc., and let that thing cook. When I tell you I did this exercise and it began to create, if you don't know, this is the platform where you upload items and then it will create a podcast for you. And I believe that's what Dr. Elizabeth was saying. And it talked about me like I was the bee's knees. That sounds really old, but you know what I'm saying. Yes, Cynthia, we got a great show today. Cynthia Resford's on, and she's the founder of the AI Builder Academy. And it makes sense while she's leading this effort in AI. And it talked me up. And I said, that's me. Oh, yeah. And what it did was it connected dots and say, oh, this experience does connect to this experience. So you can do mind maps, you can do quiz, you can do a whole lot of things in there that we won't get into right now. But Notebook LM is a free tool. Upload your information and just let it gas you up, and you will get some confidence in this era for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, I want to jump into Q&A. I'm looking in here and I'm hoping we can get to most of these questions here. Dr. Adams, I do want you to repeat the website that you mentioned earlier. I think I see that someone had requested that.
Yeah, www.eadams.tech. www.eadams.tech, a host of leadership guides. There's a link at the top, and then there's a couple on the home page that people can leverage. But one thing before we get to the QA, I want to thank Cynthia for that. I thought that was great. The other thing I want to say is, if we can get as many voices out there writing, whether it's on LinkedIn or a blog post or whatever it is that you're thinking about AI, LLMs will pick that up. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me because ChatGPT told them I was doing something in the certain space. But think about 5 years from now, we can't really predict it, but we want to make sure that our voices are a part of the conversation, that whoever might be new to this emerging space can look back and say, these are the conversations that were happening in our community around the topics that we cared about, and making sure that we're continuing the conversation, that people can look back and say, yeah, we can continue this work. So I just wanted to highlight that.
That's such an important point, and I'm gonna give it right back to you. But that is called AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. So know that SEO is going away, or if it's not gone already, right? So it's a new way, a new perspective to look at the world. Like, everything is changing, and that's the mindset we have to have. Okay.
All right. We're going to jump into Q&A. Let's try to keep the answers as brief as possible. I do want information for both of you, but I want to get to all of the questions, or as many as we can. So in terms of AI literacy, what level of AI proficiency would you recommend the everyday professional obtain to stay agile in today's workforce? Thanks, Kennedy, for the question.
Okay, I'll go in. We're going brief as possible. Yeah. Again, I'll go back to leaning in, learning how to learn. And the way that I say this is to run AI laps, meaning that you learn and produce something saucy. You need to learn how there's a fundamental knowledge that you should have with AI, but AI is moving so quickly, no one knows everything. So I would say start where you are, solve problems. And the way you do that is start with the problem, and then you use a tool to solve it. So continue that iteration and continue to learn how to learn.
I'll just add, I also say it depends on your learning style. I like micro learning. I'm teaching and designing a course at the University of Minnesota, and I'm using a micro learning approach, which is short videos, AI 101. I also have a LinkedIn course, Leading Responsible AI in Organizations. Over 40,000 learners have watched it. It should be free, but it's 30 minutes. So just kind of starting with AI Literacy 101, what do all of these topics mean, to help you begin to build confidence in speaking about some of the terms.
Dr. Adams, I'm convinced you have more than 24 hours in your day. I'm positive. I know you.
I am a master job and skill stacker. I probably have about 6 jobs, no lie. But they're all complementary. They don't there's no conflict of interest, but that's my philosophy and my style. That's what I like to do. I like my hands in a lot of things.
All right. So speaking of philosophies, right? So what are the biases seen in AI regarding African Americans, right? What can we do to manage the biases? That's from Carol. Anybody, Cynthia, you have any reply to that?
Sure. I was going to let Dr. Elizabeth go. I don't want to take the air out the room. Number one, they still exist, right? And one of the things that we can do is be vocal about it, participate in it, so that we can change the narrative there. We can't wait on the sidelines for someone else to change it. There's one instance where Erin Riddick, she began using ChatGPT a couple years ago, and she noticed some biases in the answer she was receiving. So she created Chat Black GPT, right? So she took action on what she saw as an opportunity and a problem. Another thing is the way we prompt responsibly, but the data that we're training it on is important as well. So if we don't participate, then there's no way we can change it. That's just 2 items, and there's plenty more, but I'll let Dr. Elizabeth step in.
Yeah, I'll say everything starts with the data, because that's what the models are being trained on. So if data is not representative of our experiences, and we can look at a ton of use cases, whether it's AI surveillance, insurance rates, getting a mortgage, whatever organizations are using their AI for to make predictions for jobs, healthcare, if the data is not representative of our needs, then that's going to be a problem. And again, how people are training the model, how they're using the model. So one of the ways that we can get involved is start asking questions, just like I did, or learning how to become more of a data expert. That might be a path for some people. Understand how data is annotated, how data is procured. How do you link back to the original sources? Can you trust the original sources? So those are some of the reasons why bias in data exists, but that's why having a great and excellent governance plan can help mitigate some of that, and why that governance plan needs to cascade across the entire organization so that everyone can contribute. When they see something, they can say something. For some of the tools that we use today, like Copilot, again, I'm just going to do a shameless plug. I have a TED Talk, Responsible AI for Just Tomorrow. I talk about some images that I generated with Copilot, where I asked for an African-American cowgirl, and it came back with these overly sexualized images. One of the ways that I could contribute to that was to write to Microsoft, which is what I did, and also give a thumbs down. So there are various ways when we're playing with tools that you can give immediate responses to. And then if you're in an organization, you can begin to talk to your data teams.
Another thing on a responsible side, as a user, as many of us are in the chat, is pause before you share something as well. And then check the sources before you use it, right? So ChatGPT can do that now as well. Perplexity was always doing that, but it's on the responsible end of that. So we do have biases coming out, but how do we make sure that we don't proliferate that, right? So check the sources, 2 or 3, validate that. Don't just be a copy paster, so you don't have CPS services on your tail. But then also, what does that, like you said, speak up when you see those that information. So pause before you share, and also check the sources.
All right, speaking of checking sources, one of the questions is, what about resumes and cover letters, right? So what I'd like for both of you guys to do, 1 pro, 1 con. Who wants to take the pro of
what's the question?
Yeah.
So it says, the question is really simple. What about resumes and cover letters? I'm going to assume that they're talking about using AI to create resumes and cover letters.
Okay, I'll take the pro. I don't have a problem with it, because if you're still there making sure that everything is accurate, I'm not sure what the challenge is. But again, to Cynthia's point, be careful. A lot of people are uploading their resume with all their personal information, and asking ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever to maximize their resume for the particular job that they're going for. I actually think it's smart. and it saves time. And honestly, that's how I've gotten several opportunities by doing that and curating it to match the particular opportunity. There are some cons, but I will at least say that it's a time saver. And that it also, the beautiful thing though, is it helps you crystallize new language about yourself, which is what Cynthia talked about with Notebook LLM. It helps you crystallize a new way to speak about yourself, and AI can help you build confidence about who you are and your skills.
But please, 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 please train it on who you are and provide it context. Please do not submit a resume full of, I supercharged this department and I delved into their finances. If you don't talk like that, come on, right? So you want the AI to be trained in the context of who you are, what your tone of voice is, etc. So that's what we mean. And we're talking about today is using that human agency to leverage AI, not just copy paste what it spits out. Because if it's not trained on you, it's going to give somebody else you. It's going to give you a whole different profile, a new vocabulary, and add a few jobs you never even had in there, right? So the human in the loop, what we've been talking about the whole time, is important.
All right, we have a question from Karen. She went to the BDPA conference, Black Data Processors, I believe that would be them. And many spoke about monetizing AI by creating unique prompts. Can you elaborate, and how do you price a prompt?
Not my area of expertise. I would love to know. Someone needs to put that.
Well, first of all, you should be monetizing all your prompts.
Okay. Well, I'm monetizing a lot, but not a prompt.
Yeah. So this is my idea on prompts. Prompting is just a reflection of how you think and solve problems. Prompting is a reflection of how you think and solve problems. So before it may have been in a book, a workbook, an ebook, etc. But now a person is saying, this is my IP. This is how I have surmised this problem. And this is how I would solve it through step 1, 2, and 3. Feed it to the machine. And this is the output that you should get. It's basically giving you inputs to get a desired output. So if you look at it like that, what value would you place on your IP? If we put the same prompt, Dr. Elizabeth and I, in an untrained environment, we're going to get some generic stuff, right? But if in fact we put it in a trained environment, we'll get another output. So I am not against prompt packs, but I also like to amplify. Listen, this is just how you think and solve problems. So if I use and I leverage AI to dissect this problem and come up with a prompt, you can use AI to use AI. So come up with the prompt to get that output, you probably could come up with the same thing. Speed to market is one thing, but I'll leave that there. You can purchase prompt packs, but prompts are just an indication of how you think and solve problems.
Gotcha. All right, Candace has a question. She wants to know, how do we participate when many are saying keep your account private, which restricts the modeling? Anything?
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, so I think it's like, people are always saying, keep your information private. Don't put your information into the LLM.
Oh, yes.
So how does one participate but still take that advice into consideration?
Well, I'll just give you some examples that I do. So if I'm looking to enhance one of my frameworks, I will put first off, I pay for Copilot. So my information is kind of enclaved off. I do not allow them to use my data to train it. I'm very careful about PPIs, personal information. And so that might be something that people need to understand what that is. But I use it to ideate. Right. And so I don't have to put in a lot of personal information to ideate. Some people will put in someone's email address and their contact information. I would not advise that because, again, we don't really understand what's happening with how they're using the data to train the model. But you can absolutely leverage AI for a lot of ways to improve without putting in personal information. I mean, I think it's more of how you're prompting, to what Cynthia said, how you're doing that. There's tons of YouTube videos about how to do that. Or you can even take a LinkedIn course. So I'm not sure if I really understand the question, but maybe because I've been doing this for so long, it's kind of automatic to me. So it really is it's a good question. I just don't know if
I do get a bit of it. Basically, how can we change the data if we have the settings turned off to say, don't use my data? So there's, again, to your point, there's different levels of data, right? You're not putting, which we shouldn't do anyway, our social security number and medical and health information, which, by the way, I don't know if we just saw recently, ChatGPT will no longer give legal or health advice or financial and health advice any longer. So that was that area that was suspect. However, there are other ways to give feedback on the data you receive. You see, where it has a message, how was this output, thumbs up, thumbs down, giving feedback to the model to say, this is biased, this is not a good, not a good response, etc., is another way to do that as well. One other point before I keep going is we were talking about the prompt packs, and that tied to us talking about before thinking higher. So thinking above prompts and looking at a holistic view of what problem you're trying to solve, you would probably purchase a lot less prompt packs, if that makes sense.
All right. We're going to go to closing remarks. I apologize, y'all. I tried to get to as many questions as possible. We're going to go to closing remarks. Listen, you guys were simply amazing. And I'd love to hear anything that you may have not been able to share or had the opportunity to share during this conversation, or any general information you'd like to share with our Urban League audience. Dr. Adams, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, let's see. That's a great closing question. I want to say this. I know that there's a lot out there, a lot of shiny objects, a lot of people saying, buy my book, buy this, do that. And what I would just ask of people is to not move forward with urgency and fear, is to just understand the power of pause. Each of us internally has a desire about what we want to do in life. AI can help us navigate that. It can help us ideate that. But if you're chasing everyone that's moving to the left and you have a brilliant idea that's maybe over to the right, all of that could be missed if we're just following the crowd and we're moving, like I said, with the sense of urgency and fear. So I've been doing this long enough to have spoken to leaders and employees, like I said, across many different organizations who are ready to pull their hair out because they're trying to figure out their own unique space. And so that is my advice, is just to pause for a minute, take a step back and figure out what it is that you are really good at, what you're interested in, and use AI to think higher, as we heard before, and so that we can continue to steward this amazing, powerful technology with care, and so that your voice will always be front and center.
Cynthia Respert.
I love that. It was so many takeaways from what you just said, but making sure that our voice is out there. One of the things that we want to make sure of, we're in the AI space, and I'll just speak for myself. It can get overwhelming. Every time you look at YouTube, here's a new tool, there's a new tool, here a tool, there a tool. This one trumped that tool. Like Dr. Elizabeth said, pause. But then how I frame becoming an AI pro, here's another acronym for you, is to take a pain point, rewire it, and optimize it with AI. If you start with a tool, you'll go in this infinite loop of all the bells and the whistles and the things it can do, and you look up and you still haven't solved the problem at all. So you start with a problem that you are trying to solve, rewire it, and optimize it with AI, or take a passion, reimagine it, and obsess over it with AI. I would say to make sure that you always have human agency, that you always are engaging with AI for the best possible outcome, because you are the X factor, your brilliance, your genius, your background, the good, the bad, the uglies, all those things contribute to a unique output from artificial intelligence. So I would encourage you to do some cognitive cardio, if you will. Do those mental laps, those mental reps, and make sure that you create with AI, because that is how we learn. If we scroll infinitely, you won't get clarity. If you join the webinar and do nothing with this information, then you will not have clarity. You will not have that AI confidence. So the human in the loop and engaging with AI will be super important. And in its most responsible and ethical application, AI is intended to be an extension of us, not the extinction of us.
Well, you guys were both an extension of us today. in the work we do here at the National Urban League. So I'd just like to say thank you for just bringing your expertise to the platform. Look, I know a lot of you guys want to stay connected to the work of both of these two amazing individuals. If you'd like to stay connected to the work of Dr. Adams, there are QR codes here to lock in on some of those resources that she shared. She shared a ton of them. So hopefully you guys can lock in. But look, she shared her personal website, business website, LinkedIn. You can connect with Dr. Adams on LinkedIn. You got a great feed, by the way. I've been watching some of your stuff, and it's really impressive. And please, if some of you went out and found that TED Talk, like the TED Talk. Again,
Yes,
we're trying to drive algorithms over here, and Dr. Adams is one of ours. She's sharing some great information, so please do like that information. All right, I hope you grab the QR codes. If not, this will be shared on the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel. If you want to stay connected to the work of Miss Cynthia Respert, it's here for you. Personal website, LinkedIn, Instagram, and of course, the QR codes exist as well. We will keep this up for a second. Cynthia is a big supporter of the work we do at the Urban League. She showed up in Cleveland, Ohio, all the way from Houston, just to share her information and expertise with you guys. So with that being said, please acknowledge that.
And just a note there, the AI Execution Club is absolutely free. I mentioned, we only know what we make. So the AI Execution Club is a community. You come in and you learn something. We have skill sprints. Actually, tomorrow we'll be vibe coding a business dashboard where you learn. If you don't know what that is, great. If you have done it before, even better. But it's for all skill levels. We learn together and then we execute. On other days, you come and bring something you saved. And you say, I'm going to take this 60 minutes, focus on it, and learn something and make something from this thing that I've saved.
Got it. All right. Listen, if you want to stay connected with me and the work that I do here at East Coast Executives, please reach out. Look, with all of us, we're all active on LinkedIn, and I think that was one of the underlying things that I got from this conversation as well. Everybody's accessible, but you can lock into the website at eastcoastexecutives.com. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Please reach me on LinkedIn. I say this after every DCSS, but I'm really here to help and support you guys in any way possible. All right. It's that time of the year again, everyone. Yeah. This is the last show for 2025. I'd like to close out the year, in this Digital Career Success Series season by taking a moment to thank everyone who's been part of this journey. To our incredible attendees, you guys are amazing. The professionals, the job seekers, the lifelong learners who show up ready to grow each and every session. I just appreciate you, and you're the reason that we do this. And when I say we, the Urban League Jobs Network, the National Urban League, myself, and our guest. Listen, your curiosity, questions, your commitment to continue to make this platform something special is of extreme value to us, and it shows our importance in the work that we do here. To the outstanding team at the National Urban League, thank you for your partnership, your trust, your dedication to empowering careers and communities. It's been a privilege to collaborate with you guys in bringing these conversations to life. I want to thank Wanda Jackson, Julius Jones, Dawn for jumping in, Corey from earlier in the year, Ebony doing great work as well. Everybody that just makes this thing happen for us. So thank you so very much. Again, this marks our final DCSS session of 2025. But not the end of the story. We'll be back next year with more powerful discussions, new guests, and the same focus on helping you navigate the future of work with confidence and purpose. I'm Kenneth L. Johnson. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for growing with us. And I hope to see you next season, God willing. Digital Career Success Series, National Urban League. Thank you.